The Brazil Nut Effect by Haley and Sidney. Do you ever wonder why, when you open a can or jar of nuts or trail mix, the largest items are always at the top? While scientists have some theories about why this occurs, this phenomenon is still not fully understood. The Brazil nut effect is defined as when the largest particles end up on the surface of a granular material containing a mixture of variously sized objects, an example being a mixed container of nuts. Although not fully understood, two mechanisms that contribute to the BNE are percolation and convection. For the nuts to move upward, peak acceleration divided by gravity must be larger than 1. This is an important condition that must be satisfied in order for the BNE to occur. For example, if we keep in mind that peak acceleration divided by gravity must be larger than 1 for the largest particles to move upward, and the peak acceleration is equal to 3 meters per second squared and gravity is equal to 5 newtons, 3 divided by 5 is less than 1. Thus the BNE will not apply in this example. One mechanism that contributes to the BNE is percolation. This is when all of the particles in a container are tossed up together and come back down. Small particles move into the spaces beneath larger ones, thereby pushing them upward. Another mechanism is convection. This is the way particles in the center of a shaken pile will push upward until they get to the top, then fall down in the spaces created at the sides of a container, repeating in a swirling path. The large particle is placed among smaller particles, and as it is shaken, the smaller particles move downward and fill in the spaces around and below the large particle, ultimately pushing it upward. Another equation that can explain the BNE is Graham's law. This law explains gas particles instead of mixed nuts, but overall has the same effect on larger particles. Graham's law states that there is a rate at which the particles fall down. The diffusion of gas particles is like the mixing of nuts, being shaken and pushed around, and the effusion of the gas particles is when they are pushed out of the open spaces, like the larger nuts being lifted to the top. Graham's law equation. R is the velocity or rate of molecules equals the square root of the two molar masses divided by each other. The nuts follow the same pattern, but instead of weighing the nuts with molar mass, we can just do their general size and mass. A real-life example of the BNE besides a can of mixed nuts is it helps explain how rivers resist erosion. In a new study, geophysicists from UPenn found that granular segregation helps explain the tendency of riverbeds to be lined by a layer of relatively larger particles. This is why there are larger rocks at the edge of a shore. The Brazil nut effect seems simple to understand and can be applied to many other real-world scenarios, such as erosion. But there are many laws and phenomena that attribute to the BNE. Thus, next time you reach for some nuts, you will know why the biggest nuts are at the top. Happy snacking!
Created using Powtoon.